This is the Aston Martin Heritage Podcast with Garry Taylor.
Thank you for joining us on the Aston Martin Heritage Podcast. This is the second episode of a two-parter where this time myself and Steve Waddingham, the AML historian and AMHT trustee, explore the RS Williams showroom and workshops and meet Graham Ching, the workshop director, Adam Johnson, the operations manager, and other team members. Don't forget, episode 21 is still available when we look into the history and current operations of the business and the legacy of Richard Stewart Williams. Hope you enjoy it.
Growing the passion, sharing the stories. The Aston Martin Heritage Podcast.
So we've left the office of RS Williams and we're now going to do a walk about the facility, and I'm delighted to be in the showroom with Adam Johnson, who is the operations manager. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Garry. Welcome to RS Williams.
Thank you very much. It's a delight to be here and it's a pleasure to meet you again. This is a small showroom, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. What we've got in here is just some sort of special examples of the Newport Pagnell cars. We have many more cars for sale, but our showroom space is limited.
Indeed. Now, let's have a look at this one in the corner. So you're saying, we spoke off mic, you say this is a DB4, but it's fitted with a special engine.
Yeah, this is a DB4 Series 4. It was one of 6 that left Newport Pagnell with a DB4GT engine from original, but this is the only right-hand drive. So a very, very special, rare car that's really quite important to Aston Martin history.
It is indeed. And this one's up for sale, is it?
It is, yeah.
Okay. And also, well, the DB5, is this up for sale as well?
Yeah. This is a DB5 that's Goodwood green with a red leather interior with a really nice patina. This is an original car. This is unrestored, untouched, a really, really pure DB5, and I think that's really got something going for it.
How is it? I mean, the condition, I mean, it does, I'm going to say it doesn't look restored because it does have the beauty of use, but it could be restored. How has the owner kept it in that condition?
Well, I believe it's still a one-owner car, and the man that owned it passed away, and it's now, it's up for sale with the family, and that's really how it's just been really well looked after, and one owner. It's pure. That's
very rare, and I think you said as we were speaking off mic that you use it because it's such a rare car. Unrestored, you use it as a reference point.
I do, yeah. There was a question from one of the lads in the workshop about which way round should this go, and the first thing I did was walk to this car and have a look and see, and it gave me the answer.
It is a rare find, and hopefully the next owner will continue to look after it.
Yeah. This is. I can see this car going to. I'd like to call them custodians because they're just looking after the history of the car for the next period.
Would this the buyer of this car would it probably be one of your existing customers, or was somebody new? Or
it's quite more likely to be an existing customer, or an existing client, or someone that we've known for years that that this car would appeal to. So we've just got his wonderful machine in here. I think you might be interested. Bring your checkbook. Yeah. This would be, I would say £1 million car because of its pureness.
Truly wonderful. And behind me we have a DB4 Zagato. Do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah. This is a really special car.
It is, isn't it?
This is a DB4GT Zagato, one of the original 19 cars, but it was one of 2 cars that were built for Le Mans racing. They were known as long nose cars, or DP209 specification, and we fully restored this car over a 4-year period for its owner.
What's the colour of this?
This French Racing Blue, which is the original colour. It was raced at Le Mans by a man called Jean Kurgan. At some point in its life, it was given a ducktail spoiler at the back to try and keep the car down on the Mulsanne straight. The owner of the car basically asked us to restore the car to its original incarnation, which is what we've done. It was just such a special thing to be a part of, and such a rare car. You know, we're really proud of this car.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And what's it doing? Is it ready for next owner or the existing owner? Are you looking after it?
Yeah, we're basically just looking after the car. It's here. I'm hoping he never takes it away, but I'm sure that's not going to happen.
Right. Okay, and I'm just walking over here. We're just probably exiting the show, and we have Steve Waddingham. Hello, Steve. You're a regular podcastee. So what's the thought? You mentioned earlier about the DB5 badges, or lack of DB5 on the first cars. Can you just fill us in on that?
Well, yeah, it's something we picked up last year when we were going back through press photos, etc., that some of the very early DB5s didn't have any badges on them. And sort of early feedback from customers was the fact that the car looked like the previous model. And part of that sort of stems from the fact that DB5, and to us, all of us now, it's a big deal. But actually back in the day, it was seen as another development of DB4. So internally, it was codenamed Series 6. So if you know about DB4, there's Series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, at the last minute, it appears that we then had a change of heart, went, let's call it DB5, probably because the engine had jumped from 3.7 to 4 litre. But if you look at the very early road tests, some of the road tests, they just call it the 4 litre Aston Martin. They don't really explain what
there was no DB.
No. So and I suspect that could be because at the time, you know, we were sort of saying, well, look, there's the car. We haven't quite named it yet, so go ahead and do your road test.
Shall we have a further wander around?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Let's have a mooch around and see what else is going on here. So we just walked into another room, and I think I know what it is, but this is the official name?
This is our engine shop. So this is where the engines get built. This is quite a clinical operation in here. It's why it's so clean.
I think it's amazing when you go to these workshops now how clean these places are. I imagine RS Williams from 1968 always pretty well operated at that level anyway.
Back in '68, when Richard started the company, we were under some railway archways in Brixton, and I can imagine that there was water leaking from the roof, you know, railway arch type buildings, and probably actually very different to what we have today. However, still with that attention to detail.
Yeah. I was going to say, because when we did the office interview, if you like, one of the things that RS Williams seem to be known for is their engines. Do you think that's valid?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's completely valid, and it goes really, you know, all the way back to the beginning of RSW. A classic example was the Nimrods in 1984. There were 2 Nimrods, one works Nimrod, one Nimrod that was owned by Viscount Down. We ran that car. The engines were built by Aston Martin. When we got the engine for our car, Richard completely stripped it and rebuilt it. There's an excellent video on YouTube, Nimrod the Mighty Warrior, a BBC documentary, BBC Horizon documentary. I've
still got that on VHS tape.
Yeah.
I just need a machine to play it now.
That takes you back to saying BBC Horizon, doesn't it? That's a burst of blast from the past.
Yeah, and that's just the perfect example. We did things differently. We built the engine with tighter tolerances. Our car finished, their car didn't.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, it's what we do, and we've learned so much over the years. One of the classic examples of the engineering that goes into these that we do is that over the years we've learnt about the engines, and we know on the DB4, 5 and 6, or the 6-cylinder engines, which includes the DBS as well, that there was really quite poor cooling round to the last cylinder, which actually makes total sense because it's the furthest away. Yeah. So we modify the cylinder heads and the block so that we get much better cooling round to the last cylinder. And these are things that we've learnt over the years and that we now input into every engine that we rebuild. You know, if we can't make it better than what it was originally, we just leave it alone. Then we have our ultimate engine, which is hugely popular, and what we're quite known for is the 7-litre engine, which is new crankshaft, new Cosworth pistons made to our design. The whole of the internal of the engine is new components, new camshafts, but there's a big price difference between a 7-litre engine and a 5.7.
Okay.
The 5.7 litre engine is, how can I put it, a cost-effective engine rebuild whereas a 7 litre is the ultimate V8 engine rebuild.
Is it too much? Is it too much, the 7 litre? Is it more of a beast? Can it still be used?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have,
Because that's quite an uplift, isn't it? 5.7 to 7 litres, isn't it?
Yeah. So we have our own engine dyno here. So once the engine's been built, it will go onto the dyno. We'll run the engine in because it's brand new. Then we'll do a performance test. So we will set the engine up on the dyno for drivability rather than raceability, right. And that's the big difference.
Okay.
And also, Adam, you're now running cars on sustainable fuel, aren't you?
We have done, yeah. We've run engines on the dyno V8 engines. We've been running our development V8 on sustainable fuels, and it's very interesting because from our dyno we can tell that actually it was really good, if as good as the current optimum fuels that we've been using.
Well, it's the direction of travel, because Goodwood Revival, they're now on sustainable fuels. Do you go to Goodwood Revival? Do you participate? Or any of your clients, customers?
Yes, we're going to be there this year with the DB4GT, so that's going to definitely be something to look out for. And I think all the cars are going to be running sustainable fuel.
What do you have to bear in mind when you're looking towards moving over to sustainable fuels? Modifications-wise?
Yeah, there's no modifications required. It's literally fill the tank and go.
Do you know, Steve, I remember this when we did a podcast with Curie Batelli quite a few years ago, and they're saying they were putting their pre-wars on sustainable, and in fact the car seemed to run better. Yeah.
We found no difference on the dyno between... I say no difference, minute differences on the dyno between premium unleaded fuel and sustainable fuel.
And we're all concerned about the future, where this is all going. So really, this is encouraging news to hear on both ends of the spectrum, really. We've got the pre-war cars running on it, no problem at all. And with these later cars running on it as well. So it really bodes well for the future. It's good news for everybody. And I think what it will come down to is whether this fuel gets made in bigger quantities and gets easier to obtain. And if it does, if it goes that way, then the future's looking very rosy for everybody that's concerned about older cars.
So in the corner we have a 6-cylinder.
So we've got a DB6 engine, DB6 Vantage engine, triple Weber carburetors, original ZF manual gearbox mounted to it. That's been complete rebuild. So 4.7 litre specification, and we've got torque at 351.4 at 4,500 RPM, and the horsepower torque curve. Well, the horsepower curve just keeps going up. With a max power of 347.9.
This engine is ready to go into the car? Looks like it is.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So where's the car now?
The car is in the workshop, and it will literally be a few weeks, and this will be straight in there.
Can we pop into the workshop now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go in. We interrupt this podcast by way of some soft music from a 7 litre big bore conversion coming now. Adam, this is a workshop, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is our main workshop.
It's a shame we can't take any pictures for confidentiality, but paint a picture.
Well, these are all clients' cars. We've got 2 original DB4GT Zagatos in here. We have a lightweight DB4GT. We have a DB5 convertible that's just come back from the body shop for a pre-fit. We have a DB5, 2 DB5s nearing completion of restorations.
In this workshop, I'm seeing full of DBs.
Yeah.
Just how it is at the moment.
No. We have our own V8 workshap.
Oh, right, so we're just in the DB workshop.
It's a separate workshop for V8s.
Yeah, I must admit, I tend to think of you guys as being both. So it 4, 5, 6 is, and then and S's for that matter, and the V8, and then the V8 models, on top of that. So to me, you guys are what in your mind you think of when you think of Aston Martin heritage cars, really.
What era of cars you deal with? What era do you start and stop at? Or shall I say, what don't you deal with?
Predominantly, we work from DB4 up to the first edition Vanquish. That's what we cover. Yeah, we don't do DB9s onwards because we don't have the diagnostic equipment.
Right.
We're sort of tied to Aston Martin in being a sort of a heritage dealer. We've always done the right thing and only worked on the cars that we were sort of, that they like us to work on, and that's what we've got here. But the thing is, we can fill the workshop up with DB4s, DB5s, and V8s. So really,
You don't need.
Well, it's not a matter of need. We just can't fit them in.
Perfect. Well, can we have a walk around, see what we got? Should we look at it? I think this is the bare body show of the DB6 Volante, you said?
So this is a DB5 convertible.
Oh, DB5 convertible, sorry.
Left-hand drive. This is a complete body off restoration. It's come back from the body shop. It's got brand new door skins. The body's been made good. All the paint's off. And it's come back here, so what we'll do now is we'll fit the bumpers, the door handles, the badges, the dashboard, make sure everything fits before it goes back for painting. There's two things that we don't do here on site at RS Williams, and that's the panel work and the paint work. Everything else we can handle on site here.
How long is this project going to take? So when did the car come in and when can the customer expect it back?
So in general, sort of a body off.
He's listening as well, so he's saying that you said this date.
Yeah, so a body off restoration to this level would be 18 to 24 months. Here we've got the DB4GT Zagato. This is a restoration that we've just completed. It was the second Zagato made and the first left-hand drive.
Next to the DB5 convertible, we have another DB5. Is this slightly undercover? What is this, Adam?
Yeah, so this is a left-hand drive DB5. This is a full body-off restoration. It's come back from paint, engines in. We've got a couple of guys working on the car now, just doing finishing touches to door seals, making sure the doors fit perfectly. So we're very, very close with this car to completion. Interiors started to go in. So yeah, we're on final stages on this car.
I mean, I can see them working very patiently on the door seals because, well, each of these cars are individual and there's like no factory fit, and it's just a matter of millimetre improvements all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The cars were handmade, and we do our utmost and to get them as perfect as we can. But the interesting thing is it's not like an Audi door that just shuts perfectly, because door from one side to the other is probably a different size.
At this DB5, the door is open, and well, here's an interesting fact about trying to make it fit. Steve, go on.
Well, I just said off microphone, we were just talking about the fact that when Adam said earlier about a car restoration taking 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, and that's normal in this industry, and people sort of look at you and go, well, how can it take that long? And the reason being is we're dealing with hand-built cars, and when you watch a car being built on an ordinary car production line, you get the door and you put the bolts in and you shut it and that's the end of it. But these are handmade cars, and when they were new, these cars have got an unusual device inside them that probably most people are unaware of. So if you take the door panel off a DB5, there's a wire that runs diagonally across from one corner to the other, and in the middle of the wire is a turn buckle that you'd find normally on a yacht rigging. So the idea is you twist it and it actually twists the door itself. That's how you adjust the door on a DB5.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. And by adjusting the rigging screw or the turnbuckle in the middle of the wire, you can actually pull the door into the body to get the perfect fit.
I never knew that.
It's just one of those little things that is invisible, really, but it's something that's part of our world. But it's also partly why these cars take so long to restore, because to set that up is trial and error over probably a period of hours to kind of get everything to fit properly. And you've got to allow for the rubbers, and you've got to allow for the paint going on, and all these things. It's a big job, isn't it, really, Adam?
Yeah, it's a massive undertaking in the doors. In particular, it's one of the things that takes a lot of time. So just to set one up properly is labour hours. There's no shortcut. It's just time.
Yes. Can we just, while you're bending over the SU cars, can we just have a Aston Martin Heritage Trust podcast here? Hello. What's your name?
Angus.
Angus, how long have you been here, Angus?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. And what are you doing right now?
At the moment we're installing the engine to this DB5. Just bolted up the airbox
Okay, right. Let me just move over to this gentleman. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Shane.
Hello, Shane. Thank you. And what are you up to? You're on the other side of the engine.
I am. We've just put the engine back in the bay, so we're just connecting up, just going round and connecting up the breathers. We move on to the electricals, exhaust, etc. Right. Just getting it all plumbed in, basically.
Is this engine been an upgrade? Do we know?
Yeah. This has been upgraded to 4.7 litre.
4.7
Yeah, ultimate specification.
And what's in the back there? Are they speakers?
Yes.
They don't look 60 years old.
They're not 60 years old. They're brand new.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we do is upgrades to make the cars more comfortable, a bit more modern on the inside. So we can fit modern speakers. We can fit sat nav and double din Pioneers behind the original speaker grille in the front. So you've got your modern Apple CarPlay.
James Bondy.
Yeah. So it's all hidden away, so it looks original. But underneath there, you can have your Spotify, your iPhone connected, and all of the sat nav and all of the modern.
What's your opinion on modifying Aston Martins to modern spec?
This is a really good question. I think that what we do here is that if we make any modifications to the cars or modern upgrades, so to speak, everything that we do is reversible. Modifying a car so that it's completely different or away from what Aston's did, or I'm not really comfortable with. And we would always strongly advise the customer to not do what they're asking for.
And how's the electric conversions going on with the Tesla power plant?
There's none of that here, I'm afraid.
Okay, right. Let's just move on. Some more DB. Oh dear! Look at it. He's just standing here, Steve. Couldn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that when you walk in here, it's almost like standing in the middle of one of those posters you see of, if we had our greatest hits, one of every car. It's one of a handful of places in the world where you can walk in and see
I think it is
a variety of top Astons, basically, in terms of models. This is one of those places. It is unique. It really is unique.
Right, I've just seen a red button that needs pressing, or in other words, it says dyno room, no entry. What have we got going on here?
So on here, we've got a DB4GT lightweight race engine to go into one of the DB4GT lightweights that we'll be taking to Goodwood Revival in September.
Was this one of the RS Williams lightweights they did originally?
No, they were the DB4 lightweights.
Right.
This was, out of the 75 DB4 GTs, there were 6 lightweights built.
And what's this going to tell you?
So the engine's been, to sort of keep it simple, the engine's been built, it gets put on our dyno, we then run the engine in because it's brand new. When you buy a new car today, all of that's done for you, you would never know, but we still have to do that because it's brand new. Once the engine technician has decided that the oil pressure's okay, we'll run the engine in for maybe a day or two, just checking the oil pressures, oil temperature, and then we'll go on and do a performance test where we'll take the engine to maximum RPM. At that point, we can go in, if it's on Weber cars, we can change fueling jets in the carburetors and basically get the engine to its peak performance before it goes back into the car.
So once the engine has been rebuilt, it's in the car, ready to go?
Absolutely, yeah.
No running in or anything like that?
No.
A moment ago we spoke about the do not enter dyno area, and we saw this gentleman, Mark Lewis. Hello, Mark.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks very much. And you're heavily involved with the engines. Is this where you work, on the engine side of things?
Yeah, primarily on the engines, but also out in the workshop as and when needs must. This is a DB4 GT on the dyno, so it's just come to the end of its running in cycle. And now I'm just going to start tuning it and optimising the fueling and ignition and everything to make it ready to go into the car.
Because where we are now, we look in a back office with some computer equipment with the engine just finished on its spin. And so what's the computer screens telling you at the moment?
So we can read the coolant temperature in and out of the engine, the oil temperature in and out of the engine, the battery voltage. These are exhaust temperatures here, air-fuel ratio, which is how we use, which is what we use to set the carbs up accurately, so we get the fueling correct for the engine. This is the RPM, engine torque and engine power, and then there's weather data there because it uses the weather and the atmospheric conditions to correct, so that you can do dyno runs on different days and it will correct to take into account the different weather, because on different days it will produce more or less power.
Okay.
So that's very useful to have when we're doing, when we make a change and we want to compare it with something that we did on a previous engine, for example, we know we're getting a fairly good back-to-back run.
When the dyno machine was working earlier, there seemed to be a lot of splashing and assumed water at the back. Was that right?
Exactly that, yeah. It's basically what's known as a water break. So there's 2 huge tanks of water out the back which are pumped into the dyno area, and then on the back of the engine is the power absorption unit, which is what resists the engine from just spinning to, well, until it can't spin anymore. Okay. We all know what happens then. So there is a lot of water being pumped in and out all the time, and it also uses that water with heat exchangers for the water and the oil to keep control. We can set that to exactly what temperature we want to set the engine's water temperature and oil temperature to.
Okay. We're in a very, very small room, backing onto the dyno machine. When they let you out of this room, what's your day job otherwise?
Well, day job is initially building the engine to start with.
Building the engine.
So build the engine and then bring it in here. We always have the same engine builder who builds the engine, brings it onto the dyno and dynos the engine and sets it all up.
Sounds like a bit like the old Newport Pagnell days, where somebody built the engine, tested the engine. Your name is... Well, it's not attached to it, is it?
Not as such, because we don't put name tags on like they used to. But as far as we're concerned here, my name's attached to this particular engine without actually having a label on it.
Yeah.
If ever we never needed to look anything up, we would know that it was me that dynoed this particular one.
Do you get involved with the various upgrades on these engines?
100%, yeah. I mean, I've been here for, this is my 28th year, so I've seen a few changes. And funnily enough, I was thinking this morning, I don't think barely a single engine goes by that we haven't done something a little bit differently based on what we've learnt in the past.
Well, it's got to be true. I mean, how old are these engines? Some are 60 years old, 50 years old. Your knowledge improves the car, doesn't it? It improves the engine. You say, well, that was right then, but we now know this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I mean, we've benefited hugely from our racing heritage in the past, because as soon as you start going racing, you soon find any weaknesses in every part of the car, including the engine. Whenever we've found a weakness and corrected it and put it right so that it's no longer a weakness, that becomes part of our standard build for every single engine we do, not just our race engines.
It's like trying to choose your favourite son or daughter. What's your favourite engine, a V8 or a straight six?
Ooh, for me, I think the straight six. I mean, a DB4 GT engine like this, I think, takes some beating. Yeah. They look lovely.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Let's play out with a little bit of soft music, courtesy of a DB4 GT engine. We've left the delights of the, well, shall we call it the DB workshop? Is that right, Adam?
Yeah, that's our main workshop, yeah.
The main workshop, and we just walked a few steps across to the V8 workshop.
Yeah, this is our V8 workshop. We look after all the V8s in here, and I'd like everyone to be introduced to Fergus McIver, who's our senior V8 technician.
Fergus, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Hi, Gary, thank you.
So how long have you been here, Fergus?
So I joined in 1991, so that's getting on for 33 years now.
33 years, that's quite impressive. What was you doing before that?
I was a young boy and too young to work.
Oh, well, there's the answer, the good answer. We should all use that one.
Yeah, I think we should use that.
I was at college, and I was in Reigate College, and left for work experience, and ended up here, and got offered a job before the week was out. So I quit college a year early, and I've been here since. As a young lad, I was a Mini enthusiast, and I had David Vizard's How to Tune the A Series book. And I looked in the back and found...
Oh, I remember that as a Bible, wasn't it?
It certainly was, yeah. And I found Swaymar Engineering in the back, in the index, because they were local to me. phoned them up, and by then they'd already been absorbed into RS Williams, and came along for work experience and found a lot of very nice Aston Martins. So I was put to work learning how to be careful with things.
That's quite an environment to work in, to kick off in, isn't it?
It was, and Richard liked that. He liked putting people in at the deep end to see how they respond. That's something that he did with everybody, pretty much, to see what you're made of. And if you're not up to it, he would mould you.
How did he mould you?
Very successfully, by teaching me, instilling very high standards in me, which is something that we uphold, obviously, to the day.
Well, something we caught earlier in the podcast is, if it's one thing that defines RSW, is the attention to detail and the pursuit of perfection. I mean, that's a difficult one to. Do you think that's where you're at as well?
Yes, of course. I mean, the quality was synonymous with Richard and everything that he stood for, and he's drummed it into us all.
I was going to say what's your typical day, but what's your typical week or month, if you like? Because I guess it's pretty varied. What would you be doing on the V8 side of things? What would you be doing?
Well, I mean, generally in here, of recent years, we've been restoring a lot of V8s. The value's gone into them now, so the process is usually catalogue and carefully strip all the parts, restore them whilst the car's away for chassis work and body work and paint work, and then it'll come back for trim and rebuild here. But now that they are quite a lot older and quite a lot more valuable, the chassis are requiring more work. So it's coincided that the values have gone up, that they've needed restoring.
I seem to remember that the V8s, their weak area were the sills on the body side of things. Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. As you can see, the car behind you...
Why was that a problem?
Well, it's the car behind you over there on the ramp.
So we got a V8 up on a ramp with the silver embellisher removed, so we could see behind it.
Well, yeah, as you can see from the underside of this very nearly finished restored V8, the stainless steel sill covers are screwed in with self-tapping screws. And although it's great because it gives you access to the sills to repair and maintain them, it is also a source of water ingress, and it's the cause and the cure in one. On a DB model, that's fully boxed in, and it does protect the sills a lot more. But to access them, you have to cut the bodywork off. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Okay.
It's easy to get to this, to repair it, but the reason it's easy to get to it is the thing that causes the corrosion in the first place, so the water gets trapped behind the back of the cover and then corrodes the metal below it.
So how do you deal with it now? How do you prevent the corrosion now?
Well, to prevent
better techniques.
Well, to prevent the corrosion during the car's life, you're supposed to remove the sill covers, clean and repair any underseal and cavity wax behind there and put them back on.
So it's part of the normal service routine, you'd think?
It's over and above the normal service, but it's certainly available at request.
What have we interrupted you doing today?
Okay, so today I'm working on this 1988 Prince of Wales spec Vantage Volante. This particular one came to us. It was in very nice condition, but it was sold at auction, and with an owner change, it's having a full restoration, a colour change, a trim change, back to Balmoral with the classic tan leather interior. At the same time, it's also having our 7-litre engine, one of the most powerful ones we've ever built. It's a heck of a sledgehammer.
Cars we have seen from the DB workshop and this V8 workshop, if you like, some seem to be in for full restoration. Do you deal with rolling restorations? People just want this area done, go away and then come back and have something else done?
Yes, absolutely. We deal with all aspects of maintaining the cars, but also upgrading them and preventative maintenance, and maybe touching in the corner of the paintwork right through to a full restoration. But what we have noticed is the interest in V8s has rocketed in recent years. I also run the company's social media platform, and I've noticed in the last 3 years the interest and the likes and the comments on the V8 models has in some cases surpassed the DBs, which is sign of the times, and a new ownership coming in.
The Towns V8 wedge Lagonda, do you see those here?
In my opinion, not enough. We look after one or two. We look after a very special one that's got a Tickford bodywork. We put our 7-litre engine in that. It's owned by a customer who owns a V8 Volante as well, and he absolutely adores his Lagonda. It's in a very bright blue colour with a dark blue leather interior, and it's really a very special car.
Fergus, thank you very much. And the final question, did you ever get the Mini to use your David Vizard book?
I did have a Mini at the time that I bought it. It was a Mini pickup. At age 15 or 16, I could not weld. So it never made it to the road, unfortunately. But I did go on to own an A-Series engine. I've got a MG Midget with a Lenham Le Mans bodywork.
Splendid stuff. Fergus, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Adam, we're seeing a V8 up on the ramps of the most beautiful paint job, and we're just seeing some... these brakes, I think they're Brembo, aren't they?
They are, yeah. There's a Brembo brake upgrade that we do to the front of the V8s. We can only do this to cars that are on the 16-inch Ronal wheel or the 16-inch MSW wheel, just purely because otherwise you can't fit the disc inside the wheel. This is an amazing upgrade that we do to most of our 7-litre cars to try and help stop them. We're up there with it's the highest quality equipment that we can purchase. We've adapted it. We've machined the bells in house. So a lot of this, some of this is our own work. The brakes are actually off a Ferrari F40.
We can't mention Ferrari on an Aston podcast.
Absolutely not.
Talk to this gentleman, see what he's up to. Or?
Yeah. This is Will.
Hello, Will. We're the Aston Martin Heritage Podcast. You're working on a V8, just asking what you're doing.
In for a full resto and a few resto mods as just want to talk about with the brakes and stuff.
Yep.
And this is the assembly stage to get it into a rolling chassis before we can move it over to get the 7-litre into it.
How long do you think it'll be before we get into it? It's looking pretty complete. Well, maybe not.
In the next week.
Next week and the next week.
The brake lines under the bonnet and the tricky stuff which takes the time. The bigger bits aren't too bad.
You just have to be a bit patient with all this sort of thing. Yeah. How long have you been here?
I've only been here 6 months. 6 months I've been here. I've been doing restoration for over a decade, but had the opportunity to move over to Aston Martin.
I will warn you, everyone I seem to spoke to, they seem to stay here for many, many years. I think it's some sort of entrapment or whatever.
Yeah. I like I said, I've only been here 6 compared to everybody else. It's
Will's not going anywhere. He'll be here in the next 15 20
whether
years.
he likes it or not, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 years on Jaguars, and so I've definitely converted over to Aston Martins, that's for sure.
Good, mate, you've made the right choice. Thanks very much for your time. And just over here, we have another gentleman. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Tony Cousins.
Hello, Tony. Would you mind just spending a few moments on the podcast, chat about what you do?
Yeah, no problem.
Well, there's the question. What do you do at RS Williams?
I'm an engine builder at RS Williams, so I put together all the 6-cylinder and V8 engines.
Oh, okay. I think we met earlier on. We met someone called Mark, and he deals with the 6-cylinders. So you deal with the 6 and the 8s, is it?
Yeah, 6 cylinders and V8s, yes.
I think I asked Mark what was his favourite engine, so I'm going to ask you, what's your favourite? Do you prefer a V8 or a 6?
Oh, that's a tough one. I like the power of a 7-litre V8 for driving. As for looks and building, I actually quite like the DB4GTs. That would be my favourite.
Right. I think we heard one on the dyno earlier. I mean, that's a screamer, isn't it?
Yeah, they are screamer, yes.
Good grief.
They look the part too.
Yeah, they certainly do. You said the 7-litre V8. Yes. How many of these do you do?
Started off, we didn't do that many. We didn't rebuild too many. But as the years have gone on, they've become more and more popular. So we're building more and more a year. We started off, you may only build kind of 3 a year, something like that. But we're now looking at about 8 a year.
Oh, that's quite a lot, isn't it? So do they come in as a 5.3 and they need a rebuild, and do the customers show some interest in the 7-litre? Do they think it'd be too much of a monster, too much of an uplift?
Sometimes they all come in as a 5.3 predominantly, but we do have different upgrades. We offer a 5.7 litre and a 7 litre. So for those that don't want the 7 litre, we also offer a 5.7, which is a really decent increase in power from the 5.3, and it's still quite reasonable. It's using a lot of the original components, so we can put it together for a decent package.
What would be the normal reason for a rebuild on a 5.3? Would it be mileage is getting a bit leggy? Perhaps it's blowing past the pistons. What would be a reason because a rebuild is not going to be a cheap operation no matter what?
All of what you've said, definitely. They start burning oil. They also can leak oil quite badly. They also have liner seals. All the rubbers go hard, head gaskets go, all these kind of things. There's quite a lot of things, all the usual things really from an old engine.
Does there become a mileage, a time when things maybe start to go wrong on a V8, where it starts to need a bit more love over and above a normal maintenance? Do you feel?
I kind of get the feel it's more of an age thing, age related rather than mileage related. Like as I've said, it seems like the rubbers and the gaskets and the seals all go hard, all start to fail. Also, you get, because of the modern antifreezes and coolants we now use, they've got a lot of corrosion inhibitors in them. The earlier stuff didn't, and the cars weren't looked after very well. People might have just been using water in the coolant. You end up with quite a lot of corrosion inside the block around the liners. That really hampers the cooling, so the engines start to overheat, which they're quite prone to anyway, which is why we do a lot of cooling mods as well to the blocks themselves to increase flow.
I remember, I think it's going to the machine shop, and I saw a V8 block there, and you had modified the cooling areas.
Yes.
This is one of the things you do. Can you expand on that?
We do anything we can to ease the flow of water through the engine, to encourage it to travel around the liners. Things like opening up clearances, bigger holes in oilways, things like that, to allow flow of oil in specific areas, and to also allow more flow of water in specific areas around the liners.
Technology knowledge has improved since then.
Yes.
What's the obvious improvements that can be made to a V8 engine here in 2024 compared to the knowledge and the expertise back all those years ago? You say the cooling is one.
Cooling, yeah, that's one. Difference in materials, so we can change depending on what package you go for with your engine. We've got different liners. We've got better quality liners now than were originally available. The original liners could crack, could change shape. I think a lot of it is down to materials and engineering now, how we know how the blocks move over time with heat.
Better tolerances as well, I think, isn't it?
Tolerances, yeah. These things you learn over time as you get experienced with that engine.
Right, Tony, so I'm a customer. I've got a 5.3 litre V8 and I'm keen for it to be rebuilt either to a 5.7 or 7 litre. I'll bring it to you. Explain to me as a customer what's involved in, dismantling the engine and upgrading it. I know I'm probably being simplistic, but can you give me a fly past?
So we would remove your engine. We would then inspect it, look for everything on it that's non-standard, take a lot of photographs of the engine so we know what's there. Anything that's non-standard, we'll take pictures of and we'll document. We'll then thoroughly clean the engine. So the engine will have a steam clean. All the fluids will be drained. And then it will come into me in the engine shop, where we'll take the engine apart carefully. As we're taking the engine apart, we're inspecting every piece we remove to make sure there's no problems with that. So we can really get some knowledge from the engine, tells the story to us of what's going on in the engine. If there's problems, we can look at them now and we can note them. Any problems we find, we note as we strip the engine, and then it will go into the various departments where it needs to go to be carried forward. So the aluminium, all the components will go through and be acid treated, and they'll be reconditioned and restored. And then I'll slowly start working through all the components I've removed to restore them back to original condition, being as sympathetic as possible, because we always try to reuse all the original components as we can, to keep the engine as authentic as possible. So I'll start the rebuild process, which can take 3 weeks to 4 weeks to complete. It's quite a thorough rebuild. They're not just put together quickly. A lot of measuring, a lot of making sure everything's within our own tolerances. We've got our own tolerances to the original Aston Martin tolerances. Again, it's just over time. As we've discussed earlier, we're aware where we can make things better and improve on them. Then the engine will go through onto our dyno rig, and then I'll thoroughly test the engine. So the engine will be running. That must
be a magic moment when it goes on the dyno.
It's a bit of a mixed bag. It's nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time. It's very rewarding when the engine's finished and you've got a good engine and you're happy with it. It's nice. It's nice to take it off. It's kind of the final piece of the puzzle. We'll start them up and we'll hold them above 2,000 RPM, or approximately 2,000, with load on it. So our dyno itself has a running in procedure. So we will start it and we will commence a running in procedure so that the engine is as delicate as we can be, at the same time as allowing the engine to work hard, to bed everything in, bed the rings in,
Right.
and that's how we run it. Yeah.
I've got my V8 engine back in my car. What do you think I would feel? What would be the difference I would experience?
I think you'd experience a huge increase in torque. So as you're driving, you'll that feeling of acceleration. So when you pull away from the lights at a standstill, when you're driving at low speeds, and no matter what gear you're in, if you apply the accelerator, you'll speed up quite rapidly. You'll feel the real power that the engine has, as opposed to what it did have.
I've got my 5.3. My initial reaction was, well, I want to go to a 5.7. I'm happy with that. I'm quite happy with the capacity increase. But I don't know. I'm a bit curious about this 7 litre. I mean, can you talk me around?
Talk you around, yes, for sure. The 7 litre is the 7 litre is a different beast altogether. If you really are the kind of person that is really enjoys the power feeling you get from a car, then yeah, the 7 litre is by far the way to go. The increase in power is quite significant. So yeah, it's just a brilliant engine. It just really gives you that sound, the noise from the exhaust. And when you do, if you do get a clear bit of road and you put your foot down, you really do feel the difference.
What are you working on at the moment?
On my stand at the moment is a 7 litre V8 manual.
How far are you into that?
I'm just putting the piston and rods in at the moment. The block's prepared. It's on my rig. It's all clean. And now I'm inserting all the pistons and rods at the beginning of the build, I'd say.
You focus on one at a time, yeah?
Yeah, always one at a time, yeah. And it tends to be one person for the engine the whole way through.
Before we let you go, how long have you been at RS Williams? How long have you been doing this? What's your history? What's your background?
I did engineering at Brooklands College. From there, I came to RS Williams. I think I was 17 when I joined here. And I've been here now for, I think this is my 20th year. Well over 200 engines.
Oh, wow. Tony, I'm going to let you get back to your engine. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. And thanks very much.
Brilliant. See you soon. Cheers.
We left the V8 workshop and we're now in the parts department. And I am with
Simon.
Hello, Simon. What's your full name, Simon? Don't be shy.
Simon Eaton.
Simon Eaton. Hello. We've met before. What do you do here in the parts department?
Everything. We're doing everything.
Is that because Adam's standing next to you?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. We're supplying to national and international customers, from private individuals and other garages, AMOC members as well. We offer a special discount too.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So you are part of the official Heritage Supply network, yes?
We are indeed, yeah.
The parts you're supplying, what era of parts do you supply? Is it the ones that effectively you're servicing and maintaining?
That's correct, yeah. So the DB4s right up to the first generation Vanquish.
What's involved in dealing with the parts department, or how do you keep this swinging and making money?
Well, we're a very, very busy department. We have a lot of production of parts and a large stock of parts as well. So it's especially this year we've been very fast moving.
Why this year? What's happening this year?
I don't know. It's just kicked off really well and continued on from there.
Is there a particular call of parts for a particular era?
It is mainly the DB4s, 5s and 6s, with lots of regular servicing stuff, as well as restoration and engine builds as well. A lot of engine components. So all getting ready for the start of the season. This usually is our busiest period, the first quarter of the year.
I think so. I think the cars have been coming out of mothballs and ready for the shows and the driving of the romantic drives through the Swiss Alps for the year ahead, and they suddenly need bits to get it going again, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. And so we'll very soon be called for regular servicing items as well, just so the cars have come out of a little slumber over the winter, and they'll have the usual service items to just have a look.
Would it be private customers coming to you for the normal service packs, if you like?
Yes, we get quite an even mix of private individuals and other garages as well that call on us for our help and the supply of parts as well.
Good. Right. Well, for a very busy department, you both seem very relaxed and on top and in control, which seems like everything here at OSW. Actually,
Try and keep it fun and enjoyable.
How long have you been here?
19 years in June.
There we go, Adam. There we go. So they come in and they don't leave, do they?
That's it. Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
There's no wonder you're not going anywhere. All right. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time.
Super. Thank you.
Growing the passion, sharing the stories. The Aston Martin Heritage Podcast.
We've just gone through the workshop and I'm delighted to be sitting down, finally, because we've had a long walk around today in the office of Graham. Graham, you are the workshop director, I understand.
That's correct, yes. Yes, so my duties here are to look after the staff that we have in the building. So we roughly have around 25 staff employed across different trades. So I look at what they do each day, what activities they're doing, plan the workload out for them, and make sure that all ties in with the logistics of what we've got ahead of us and our clients' needs as well. So a lot of my work is involved with the planning day-to-day of the clients' cars coming in. That could be restorations, it could be servicing, it could be upgrades, could be new engines, or part sales that happen in different departments as well. But we try to tie all that together so we work in a sort of smooth, cohesive operation and nothing clashes and everything's delivered on time.
Because that's a very important role, because when a car comes in for its first attention, first service, first rebuild, you need to know the parts are there, aren't you, ready for it to start work?
Yes, we hold about over £1 million worth of stock in the building at any one time. We've got a great heritage stock here, which is really handy to have, so we can cater for most eventualities. So if somebody brings a broken car in here, chances are we'll have the parts in stock and ready to go. All the staff here are very knowledgeable. They've got a long history. Some of our employees have been here for over 30 years. So when a fault happens, we've got a pretty good idea of what it is before the car's even here.
I think when I spoke to Neil earlier, you do have, should we say, like a workshop load-in, which covers many months, if you like, but you are adaptable for customer demands. So, there needs to be a service, there needs to be some immediate, not immediate restoration, but something you need to bring forward, or there's a race prep. So I imagine your spreadsheet on your computer pretty much changes daily to meet customer demands, doesn't it?
It does, yes. For instance, I've got a Gantt chart behind me on the screen, which obviously you can't see in a podcast, but that's
fortunate, isn't it?
That's got a forward loading of about 3 years for restoration work.
Yeah.
But because we've got that massive forward loading, we also have to remain pretty lean and agile to cater for day-to-day things happening, like breakdowns, like emergency services, people going on events where something needs changing. So we have to keep a certain capacity available, let's say, for the unforeseen circumstances, as well as the forward planning workload as well. We have to hold about, at this time of year, about 30% capacity just for servicing and repair work, or even breakdowns where people have got the cars out of the garage, expect them to be fine, and they've got minor issues that need attending to. So we have to keep a certain amount of capacity that's very, very flexible, very agile, can just jump on those sort of activities straight away. About 50% of our staff are tied up on long-term restoration projects that have got very tight scheduled dates to meet. We have to retain capacity for that. So we mix the staff around, and most of our staff are actually very flexible. They can move from one job to another job very, very quickly. We can fill the short gaps very, very quickly. We've got the right staff, so we've got the right high level of effort to put into the work to make sure we achieve it to the standard that we're renowned for and our reputation deserves.
How long have you been here, Graham?
I've been here nearly 7 years now, so I'm quite one of the new boys here.
Relative new boys, yeah. And you came from McLaren, I understand.
That's right, yeah. I've got a research and development background with the Ministry of Defence, and then another 17 years of Formula One racing with McLaren. But I've always enjoyed classic cars, and I love the work we do here, and probably more importantly, the standard that we work to. It's a very, very high standard, and it's nice to come to a company that really is at the top of their game.
Well, it's interesting because I think when I was speaking with Neil upstairs, we was on about Richard Williams having a perfection of perhaps a slight OCD, and he compared him to Ron Dennis in that regard, and you're here from McLaren, I don't know.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so Ron Dennis did have OCD, there's absolutely no doubt about that, and he seeked perfection in absolutely everything he looked at or touched. I'd say Richard is a very similar character, slightly more colourful character, but nonetheless definitely had the same sort of values as Ron Dennis would have, and many people that are in the racing field or classic market field. I think Neil fits that brief, and I would say most of the employees here as well.
Do you find it sort of slightly intimidating, or do you have to adapt? And do you find it once you think, well, yes, I understand this, it empowers you, it makes you a better person?
To be honest, it's what feels natural, because that's how we work, that's how we're used to working, that's what has become the new norm to us all, really. I think to fit into being an employee at RS Williams, we're not people that do things cheaply, quickly, or do half a job. Here we do it properly, we do it to a high standard, we offer good value for money, we're doing the right job at the right price, basically, but to the highest level of standard. And that's why our clients come here. They want to know that things are right. When they take a car from us, they trust us that it's tested, they trust us that it's safe, they trust us that it's going to be correct in appearance, the aesthetics are correct, that the overall package will just be right and will be viewed by other people in a very positive way rather than criticised.
Graham, thank you very much for your time. And the noise in the background, that wasn't a Ford Fiesta. What was that?
No, that's a 6-cylinder Aston Martin engine, so that's a twin plug head with twin distributors, so it's a GT-based engine that's going to go racing.
Or as the atmosphere of the podcast. Thank you very much, Graham.
You're welcome, thank you.
Discover more about the story of Aston Martin, the cars, the people, the history with the Aston Martin Heritage Trust. You're always welcome to visit us at our museum in Oxfordshire, so find out more via amht.org.uk.